Hello and good evening, Cosmic Explorers. Welcome to your Friday night tune-up. I'm your co-creator, Hillis Pugh, along with our amazing, fabulous our guest
Go.
co-host, the Go,
I'll take it.
Megan.
Yes.
Megan. So, welcome everyone.
Hello,
So,
everybody.
Megan, how has your week been? Before we get into this evening's topic of choice.
Well, we were chatting just briefly, only a few moments ago, and the word that came to me that I'm gonna stand behind is dual. This week has been incredibly dual. This week has been speaking things I've never spoken to people that I should, um, and liberating and also devastating. And it's been ecstatic and big, and it's also been full of grief. And I'm noticing that many of my very tapped in and intuitive friends are also in this interesting oscillation. So it's been very informative, but it's been, I had said to you the DNA spiral of like ecstaticness and grief sort of coming together and
Yeah.
um just the culmination of human experience. How has yours been?
Mine has been interesting in really, how things are unfolding in a way that I hadn't expected to be, to allow myself to be the support that I need to be for myself. I've had a couple of weeks where I wasn't fully in my data. I kind of like, I'm just over this now. I'm just done. I just want to be done. Why am I still doing this? And
Yeah.
so, yeah, and but I have to remember the reason why I'm doing this. And so in that moment, the spirit was showing me all these things. And one of the things that, we have come across, especially as a spiritual community, is the phrase, seek and ye shall find. And I had to sit with that because as a society, as a human race, as a collective, as we have these individual communities and within the human structure, within the space that we allow for ourselves, and we have always been on this path of seeking. And what is it that we're truly seeking? Is what is it that we really want to know? What is it that we really want to find? And sometimes when we get to an aspect of this journey of seeking, there's either one or two things that happen, which speak to what you just talked about, this space of duality, is how we can be, jump for joy and be super ecstatic and happy and joyous, or we can be completely let down. It's like, what the heck did I sign up for? This isn't what I expected it to be. But then, turn around, it's like, okay, wait a minute. Maybe that's what I needed. Oh, wait, no, was that? And so it's like all these aspects to really pull everything together, to really sit in a space of, do I really understand? Do I really know? Do I really comprehend the vastness of what this seeking is? Is it seeking within my body? Is it seeking outside my body? Is it seeking comfort in someone else? Is it seeking comfort in myself? Is it seeking, and seeking in itself is a space of duality?
Whew. Yeah. I so when you first said that you potentially wanted to chat about seeking, that was a word that had been coming to you in this week. The first thing that I thought about was one of my favorite stories from Baba Ram Dass, where he talks about a friend of his, Pat, has a disembodied spirit named Emmanuel that she is able to channel. And, he's chatting with Emmanuel one day and he says, Emmanuel, like, how can I speed up this process of enlightenment? And Emmanuel says, like, well, Ram, you've signed up for a university and you won't take the curriculum. Why don't you try taking the human curriculum instead? You're so busy out here being enlightened. You're like missing the whole point, or trying to be enlightened. And so that story is consistently something I try to revisit because I would consider myself a seeker. I would consider myself a student of the universe. And I can see where my seeking could potentially become an endless void I will never fill. And then what about all the moments that have slipped through my fingers because I was focused on where I wanted to go? And of course, we may not have time for all of this, but I have my speculations about what I wish to achieve or hope to achieve. And yes, they can be noble in ways, and yes, they could be unnecessary in ways.
Yeah. I like what you just said, especially with the part because I think this is the part that trips everyone up. Is on the way to seeking, we think or we feel the opportunities slip through our fingers because we're focused on something else.
Mhm.
But the reality of that is that did something really slip through your fingers because you weren't aware of it?
I mean, we're always deeply rooted in the perfection of our predicaments, right? So if you're gonna catch me on a good day, I'm gonna say, no, that was a thing that was supposed to slip through my fingers.
Yeah,
Unless I'm missing human connectivity and experiences in the name of seeking some endless thing to give me understanding or more self-love or what the you know what I mean? The multitudes
right.
of aspects you could pick from. But no, I think most of the time if something slips through, it probably was supposed to, because
Yeah,
it did.
yeah. And you know what I find fascinating in this journey of my day to really understanding the plant medicine and really understanding myself is that, I've become a bit more active on social media in the past few weeks. And what I'm noticing is that, people in the community, the light work, I don't like that word anymore.
And you've said that a couple times.
I
Yeah.
know light worker. It's like it's so limiting. But it's commercially used, so I use it so people have a grasp of what I'm saying. And so
Yeah.
there's the community of light workers, and I see them. They're doing their thing. They're doing their static dancing. They're doing their light language. They're doing this. They're doing that. And I'm like, it's so fascinating to watch them express themselves in this beauty and of this form of communication. And then I sit back and say, wait a minute, how come I'm not doing that?
Yeah.
And I said, wait a minute. No, I'm supposed to be learning about this body. It's like, okay, yeah. So as I learn about this body, okay, there's a greater sense of service that I can be for other people because when you understand the human vibration and frequency and all that it encompasses, not just the physical aspect, but the non-physical stuff that comes along with that. And so it's like, okay, all right, I'm over it now. Which is part of why the whole space of seeking came up. Because it's like, okay, because you're in this class, you're in this human class, the school of earth, and you see all these things on it's like you what is it? You sign up what is it called for being in a club. You go to
Yeah.
club and you see all these different clubs. It's like I want to be in volleyball, I want to do chess, I want to do light language, I want to do how to write your
Yeah.
own book. You want to do all these things, but then it's like, wait, I can only choose three.
Yeah. Meanwhile, your soul's like, be humble and sit down. I got mediumship, soul retrieval, and whatever else for you. You know what I mean? Don't get too greedy. Like, and I see
Right,
that
exactly.
so, right? I see that so often. I did this like when I started this path. Like, I had these goals. I had these things. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. And then as I've actually walked the path, it's been like, oh no, listen, I have a lot more. And this is going to be what is going to come forth for you and be alive for you and be things that you're probably good at and specialize in. And they're nothing like what I thought they would be. So I think that sometimes healthy seeking um, can require being willing not to walk through the forest with a candlelight.
Yeah. Or just have really amazing eyesight.
Or use your Sananga. Get that depth perception in the dark. Like, it's going to help.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's true because in this path that unravels, you know, which is interesting because we have all the superhero movies and shows that mimic, what people desire most. You
Mhm.
have Superman, who's like has the ultimate, has heat vision, and he can fly and super strength. He has like the trinity of superpowers, okay?
Yeah.
And you have other people who can, stretch and make themselves into any shape they want to be. And then you have other people who are shapeshifters and all these things. They say, no, I want what you got. You got lane powers. I want what you got. So it's like you never in the space of being truly satisfied with what you have. And I think that's the old adage of people always wanting more, always seeking to be better or different, because I don't like what I have. I want what you have. It's like, oh wait, never mind. I want my stuff back, because we know how to work with what we have.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what you were saying there, that we honor that in which we have the most, because we understand it, we know how to work with it, we know how to utilize it. It's like having in layman's terms or in sports terminology, having the home court advantage.
Well, I think that right, the soul is the home court advantage, and the mind is the other. And so, like, we come in and like, our mind is telling us a bunch of things we want to be good at, and your soul is like, "Psst, I got so much power here for something different. Just wait. Like, I'm going to give it to you as ready." I think that's cute. I've never thought of it that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because we go on this journey of searching for all these tools and resources, and yeah, I'm so guilty of looking for tools and crystals and
Yeah.
meditations and all these things, just like gather them all up, and then once I have them, I was like, wait, what do I do with all of this?
Yeah.
You
There
know,
was
it's
actually a time I was upset with my toolbox. I got yoga teacher training, meditation teacher, combo practitioner. I kept gathering these little things, and I'd think that thing would be the thing, right? That was gonna be the thing for me. And then at one point I had that, and I looked down and I was like, oh, these all these dang tools, and nothing was the thing, right? And it took me a moment to get to, like, oh my god, how lucky am I to have all of these things, this toolbox. And then people, as they call me in for assistance, I can say, well, these are the tools that I have, and this is what I would do, but what feels good for you, and where do you want to go with this? And I wonder, are you a manifesting generator? We talked about this.
what am I? I think I am a generator.
That would make sense. Yeah, we're like, we have a lot of things going on, a lot of interest, a lot of learning to do. So I have a question for you about seeking.
Yeah.
How do we or in your perception, how do we mitigate an unhealthy version of seeking? How do we keep that in check so it doesn't become
That's a really
destructive?
good question. That's a really good question. How do we mitigate this? Honestly, there's no true way to mitigate seeking, because in human form, and mind you, this I asked, and so it's flowing. So in the sense of human, okay, and I'm glad this is a really good question. In the sense of being human, there is never going to be the energy of non-seeking, because in this form of human, there's always this space of wanting to learn, wanting to understand, wanting to grow. But as as children, this seeking is prevalent. The seeking is very obvious, because we're children and we want to learn, we want to grow, we want to understand our environment. But as the human body vessel matures in that space, the seeking shifts and changes, because we have gathered so much knowledge or wisdom that we think or feel is useful. And then from there, we then to allow ourselves to understand, well, what can I utilize? What can I throw away? What can I keep? We go in this cyclical pattern of keep, 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 and then, okay, discard it all. But in the community of healers and energy workers, and the things that we do, there's this infinite desire of wealth and knowledge of the universe. because we want to know. We have the desire to know so we can understand. So that way, when we step into the space of understanding or understanding, that we can allow ourselves to be of better service, to be the guides, to be the practitioners, to be the teachers, to be the students, to be the masters, to be all these things, that to embody what it truly is to be the soul, to be the master, to embody all of that. So when seeking is imbalanced, because that's what it is. It's
Mhm.
imbalanced because we tend to look outside and see what someone else has, and we desire and we covet that. We want that, and the best way to mitigate that is to really begin to understand what it is that they have. Ask the right questions of, why do you have this? Why do you do this? Why is this for you? And then you process that and begin to understand, okay, is this something that I should do for me? Is this good for me? But when we do it in a mindful way, there is the joy and understanding that comes with it. So to truly mitigate it is to become aware of it, to be mindful of it, as opposed to mindless and just covered out of lust, out of selfishness, out of greed, out of that energy. So when you're mindful, everything is okay. But when you're not in that mindset, then all goes awry, if you will.
Hmm. So when I as I listen to your words and your response, what stands out for me is the inner standing, right?
Yeah.
Feeling. And as we allow ourselves to be in feeling, really feeling, right? Like it's
Mhm.
taken me even years on the plant medicine path to allow myself to like really feel. And even still I have work to do there, but I think as we hone in on that skill, which is not something that is drastically encouraged in our culture. In fact, we're constantly engaging with things meant to take us outward and our focus outward and away from feeling. Then the seeking, we know that the seeking will always be kept in this sort of helpful space as opposed to ever becoming, a crushing way or something that we get lost in because we're feeling our way through what's best for us always.
Yeah. And I like that, because what you've just reminded me of is any journey, is that we get lost on that journey, no matter what journey it is. I mean, if you, I mean, I remember times I've gotten lost in my own city. Come on. You get lost regardless, but it's how you respond and the energy of being lost. Are you upset? Are
Mm,
you frustrated? And in that space, we have to remember where the heart is, where the home is, where the soul resides. And in that space of intention, of feeling, of really truly feeling the sense of direction of self, you're never lost, especially on the path of wonderment or the path of seeking. And that's what seeking really is. It's allowing to fill the space of wonderment, to get back to that space of inner child is the true reason why we seek, because we
mm,
are seeking to return back to something that is familiar. We are seeking to return back to something that we know that is for us, that feels
mm,
good. And I feel that, as I say that, that's part of the issue on the planet, that we are all mindlessly seeking for something. Even myself, I do it sometimes, just
mm,
to have that satiation of that one thing that I'm missing. And when we're in that space, like, what do we do and how do we do it? And I know I said all the answers or some answers, but it's all about dedicating yourself to feeling in that space, to returning back to what feels good.
mm. Dalila, divine play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I immediately notice like in life when I forget to play, right? And when I start to go through things, that's like the first thing I start to cut myself off from. Dance, play, community.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's a beautiful, I think there's an intermingling in the keeping of the seeking positively is like, are you playing in this seeking? Or is it now becoming a thing where it's like, oh, I only fasted for 23 hours, not 24. Oh, I
Oh,
had that piece of fruit and I like,
the
right? Like, and you're
minutia of it. Yeah.
the nitpick, the inner nitpick.
Yeah. And
Mm.
that, that I think that's, what I noticed about myself in the beginning process to now doing this for 5 months with this diet is that in the beginning I was like so hardcore. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna do my prep before and I'm gonna do this. I was like super excited. And then I was like super strict and doing everything that I was supposed to do. And like 3 months into, I'm like, wait a minute, why am I still doing this again? This again. Wait, where's my teacher? Where's the student? I'm like, wait, I'm the teacher. Wait, what am no, the plant's the teacher. What are you teaching me? And so it's like all this stuff. I'm like, then 4 months, then 4.5 months, I'm like, you know what? I'm over it. I'm done. But I'm
Yeah.
still doing it. Okay, wait. All right. But and I cut myself some slack because because it lost its luster, if you will. But then I remember when I do my meditations and how clear my meditations are and how clear the body has become and you know not polluting it with so much stuff, because we pollute ourselves. I had an interesting conversation a few months ago with an Uber driver, and I thought it was fascinating. And he was telling me about a friend of his who's a mortician or works in the morgue. And he was telling him, it's like, and I think he said my friend has been a mortician for 20 years. And over the years, he had to use less embalming fluid. I'm like, what?
Oh,
Why is that? It's like because of all the foods we eat. Because there's so much
whoa.
preservatives in the food that the foods is actually preserving the bodies. So it's like, that's just trippy. Can you imagine that the mortician doesn't need as much embalming fluid because of all the food that we stuff ourselves with? You
Wow.
know,
I have never thought of that.
neither did I. I mean, I don't think anyone's really thought of that because this is a part of seeking. That's a part of the whole seeking process because when we eat, what are we eating for? Are we eating for nourishment? Are we eating just to be eating? Are we? And I know I'm guilty of it. I know we all are guilty of just mindlessly eating, just wanting to feel something, to
Hmm.
feel that thing that we're seeking, to have that thing that we're missing.
Oh, yeah.
And in that space of unconsciously eating, this is why we have the culture that we have. This is why we have the foods that we have. This is why we have the things that we have. And so, seeking is like this multi-layered and spread out of branches that goes throughout the universe, and how each path of their seeking leads to something different, and how our seeking is also the result of a lack of consequences or empathy or consciousness or just really getting in touch with who you are, you know?
Yeah, and I get why it's hard for people to touch. Um, you were talking about food stuff. I have nothing that I like to cope with in my life right now. And the past couple of days there's been like some things coming up and I feel myself like particularly with food like oh god, like I want to it's just so interesting to sit back and watch the path I'm on there and to also be like, wow, I'm not going to call on any of these things that I seek to usually help me deal with this stuff. Like I'm going to really just sit in it and turn the seeking to that as opposed to the mindlessness of any number of things we can grasp, and it's a challenge for sure.
Yeah, especially, I mean, I could say it's definitely a challenge because going through, this journey, for 5 months and really, as we were talking before we started the show, it's like I'm doing this data, where this is typically done in a jungle setting, complete isolation.
Yeah.
So not only am I doing the dieta, in everyday life, working every day, connecting with clients every day, doing, connecting with people every day, doing all the things that in a normal life. And still I have time to sit in my moments of really understanding, how did that affect me? How did that
Mm.
bother me? Why was I triggered by that? Or why did that make me happy? Why did that make me smile? Why am I so joyous about the result of that? And so it just really, really moves into the space of I get it, I
Mm.
understand it, and really, really begin to know it.
I applaud you on that journey. That's a long time. Even if
Yeah,
you've
they
loosened in ways, that's a long time to be giving like your full dedication and presence to everything that medicine is unfolding for you.
yeah, I mean it's interesting and just like any path, and not just with this, any path that we choose, when you think of the monasteries of various monks or priests or things like that, or even nuns, and so anything that is an institution, because the medicine, and I know that's probably the wrong phrase to use right now, but the medicine is a teacher, and the institution of learning, the institution of understanding the medicine is the path of really allowing yourself to step into what it's teaching in the space of dedicating, of knowing and understanding that this here is what is needed for you now. Heck, the other day we were talking about food. I haven't had ketchup or hot sauce, or Cholula hot sauce was like one of my favorite
Oh.
things. I know I haven't had any of that stuff in 5 months, and I'm like,
Mm.
it's getting to a point that I was like, do I miss it? Do I not miss it? What's happening here? And so it's like all these little nuances. And I'm like, am I done? Am I not done? Do I want it? Do I not want it? But then it's like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
It's like this inner conflict with the human self and what I've known for 40 plus years of my life versus, okay, this is all new and different now. What do I do?
There's there's um there's such special fun and sensations in the breaking of dieta though. And I find that like, I working with combo pretty intimately. I've worked my way through three, although the first one I had a lot of foibles. But it always takes me a while. I don't just immediately jump back into like fruit and kombucha and sweet things. And that moment of like re-entering, there's like this tickled little piece of like play getting like my humanity back in certain ways, right? Like it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I've been in my strict body for 30 days, 40 days, however long I'm doing it. And it's like, yay, a peach, like, and so there's such a real moment of like tantric sweetness and like tasting Cholula again. I can't wait for you to have that moment.
Honestly, I don't know if I'm gonna get back to that, because the one time I accidentally had something that was spicy, and it wasn't that spicy. I'm like, what the? It was like something that's usually normal level spice for me was like
Yes.
super spicy. I'm like, why is that really spicy right now? I'm like, oh wait, that's why.
Yeah. I go through the same thing with sweet stuff. Like oh my god, an apple or I was out once at this dance party right after my last dieta and had asked if they had any non-alcoholic drinks, and the manager was so kind. She like went inside and got me like a lemon San Pellegrino. And ooh, I felt so guilty because like I took like four tiny, tiny little siplets and then threw it out because it was just too sweet
Yeah.
for my palate. It's amazing how when you start to come back into, you're like, whoa, I was doing that 5 times a day.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the whole process of what we're talking about tonight, is this whole presence of seeking.
Mm.
Why am I doing what I'm doing? What am I looking for on this journey? What am I wanting to understand on it? What's the whole purpose of all of this? Is it just for my health? No, it's for me to really master the body. It's for me to really understand the body, which is why I have all my teachers, around me, which is why I'm connected to all. It's like, okay, I got to understand all of these various frequencies and vibrations and this and that. And so, and for everyone who's watching, seeking is also the space. It can, like we talked about in the beginning of the show, duality. It could be a space of joy or it could be a space of pain. You choose the path. Whatever the path leads you on, whatever you wish to fulfill, let it be a space that is of ease to you. Let it be a space of validation for you. Let it be a space of really stepping into the newness that is emerging, because one of the things that I read about, and it earlier today, it was scientifically proven, today, or maybe a month or two ago, but it was finally out in public today. And I knew this, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago. I was truly aware of this, that the whole entire solar system, potentially the galaxy, is moving into a whole other aspect of space, to where it's less dense
Huh.
and moving into what we would consider 5D energy. But I'm like, well, it's about time you guys caught up to this information.
Like, oh, that's why we've all been feeling scrambled. Thanks for joining in and recognizing. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
exactly.
I would like to read about that.
Yeah, it was like a little blip, and it was in my social media feed. So it's like one of those things. I'm like, read, confirmed, went right on past.
Is that right? Like, you're good at what you do. You got this. You understand. I have a random side question. How was your
Yes,
perception of time today?
my perception of time for the past month. Well, no, take that back. For the past 2 weeks, since I did my flash journey of mushrooms,
Yeah.
my flash journey of psychedelics, my time has been truly warped,
Yeah.
because there are moments like today, for example. I wake up at the usual time I wake up, and time was moving so slow, like physical time, like the
Yeah.
actual seconds and minutes. But I was moving at my regular pace. I'm like, get up, have my cereal, go shower, do my morning routine. And I'm like, wait, it's only 7:30.
Yeah.
Wait, what happened? And then there are moments of the day like, I'm like, wait, what just happened? So it's like this whole warping of energy, of really, because that's what time is for me. Time is just energy. And time, and I actually wrote a poem about this one day. I read it on the show,
Mm.
is that how time is just a way to, in the human mind, to measure the linear space of energy. But we all know that energy and time is not linear anyway.
Certainly not 3D sphere, not a flat circle. Yeah, that was I was curious because I've heard that from a couple people, and man, it felt like physical time there was a weird portal or something today where it was just so slow, but it was the same thing. I was moving at a normal pace, and so like being at work for 2.5 hours, I was like, it's only been 2.5 hours. I feel like I've done so much, and it should be 5 by now, you know. And a few other people said that, so I was curious if that was just in the consciousness today.
Yeah, which goes back to the whole seeking and duality thing. Why are we really wanting to seek this space of time, and
Mm.
really understanding that, and how do we measure it? We measure it in seconds, and we measure it in minutes, we measure it in hours, we measure it in days and months and years. I mean, it's archaic, in how we measure it, and I'm beginning to really like that word now, archaic.
Archaic, barbaric. Yeah, I mean, it feels like so many things, even up until recently, that we were participating in or calling on or looking towards are feeling quite archaic.
Yeah, I mean, it's archaic, barbaric,
Yeah.
What other words can we use?
I'm gonna have to get on synonym.com, which is one of my favorite things to do because I love words.
That is the source. I love this is the source.com. I have it on my phone.
Oh, I don't think I've used that.
Yeah, I love this is the source. But the reason why the word archaic keeps coming up is because everything is becoming a bit antiquated, a bit old, and a bit outdated and outused. And so this is another way, and people traversing through the energy to seek something. And so it's
Even
just
through the universe, apparently, it's becoming quite old, huh? It's like, okay, yeah, we've been this for a while. It's time to shift.
yeah, time to be something else now. So yeah, what would that even look like? So you guys who are watching, what would that look like? I pose a question. What would it look like for you to be something different? What is different? You know, you don't have to answer now, but you can answer, whenever in the comments. And so I just enjoy reading those. So, um, yeah, it's been a fun show. Wouldn't you say so,
It
Megan?
has.
And
I
so
would certainly say so.
as we open up to seeking and learning new and different exciting ways, how about we open up some new energies for this Friday night tune-up?
Okay.
Because it wouldn't be Friday night without the tune-up.
Mm-hmm. Best part.
I know, which is why I love doing the show, which is why I love doing what I do. Um, I don't know. What are we doing tonight, guys? Okay, all right. My teams are giving me the instructions for the tune-up, which is okay, yeah, there's a special light language that I'm going to use tonight, one that I don't use too often because it deals with time itself.
Mm.
So yeah, this will be interesting. So wherever you are, whatever you do in this infinite moment, taking a nice big deep breath and allow yourself to be present with yourself, with your breath, with your heart, with your mind. Be present with all of you as we open up these new energies, as we move into the highest and best frequency, the vibration, the field of resonance of our soul, of our being, to assist and guide us to truly understand what it is that we're seeking as we now begin this beautiful, beautiful sapphire light, this beautiful sapphire energy to surround us, to cocoon us so we can begin to see the embodied picture of self, the picture of our beingness, the picture of our absoluteness. And as we look at this picture of self, we allow for the harmonization of this energy, bringing this energy into balance as we work with these infinite energetic frequencies we call time, the energy that we use to measure what is already present in and around us, the seconds, the minutes, the hours, the days, the weeks, months, years, decades, centuries, millennia, and beyond, allowing to know that we truly exist in all of this energy and all the energy that is in us that we carry and all the energy that we seek outside of us is present within as well, bringing balance to both aspects of the being. Unraveling the mind, connecting with the spirit, with the soul, allowing for the density to drop and be reunited with the light that is us in this infinite space of energy, this space that is non measurable but only can be felt. And allowing this sapphire light to integrate within you, within your system, into your throat chakra, into your field of energy, all the way down to your bone marrow, to your support structure, your foundation, so that you may be guided to find the joy, the love, the happiness, to be fulfilled on your journey of seeking, to know that you have already acquired the wisdom and knowledge. You just now have to access it. And with one big deep breath, you allow yourself to be grounded and connected to Mother Earth and Father Sky, the Mother and Father, the first of the universe. And as we ground ourselves with one big deep breath, you begin to open your eyes slowly and surely, being present, being here, being with you in this infinite space and energy.
Ooh. That was lovely. Thank you so much, Hillis.
You're most welcome. And remember to take care of yourself, even though this was, just a teeny tiny transmission. Treat it as if it was a full one. Take care of yourself and be mindful of the guidance that you receive hereafter. And Megan, do you have any words for those watching?
Breathe and feel. Breathe and feel. It seems to be very important right now. Not that it's not always, but giving yourself time to simply be with self, quiet room, no meditations, no additional fluff, just you and your sensations and your breath. And I think it's will be very informative for us as we deal with this shifting universe.
It is so important and so beautiful. Well said, Megan. And until next week, everyone, in the honor of Miss Rebecca Gregory herself,
No, thanks.
don't limit yourself. Create yourself. Be the change in you. Till next time, everyone, have an amazing day.
Bye.